ArsenalFanTV, if you come to the Emirates, you see this statue. This is a brilliant statue. This is Herbert Chapman, Arsenal legend, as it says down here, the Arsenal manager from 1925 to 1934, one of the most influential managers in Arsenal's history. And one day, somewhere around this stadium, we're going to have a statue for Arsene Wenger. Definitely. He's been one of our, if not the greatest Arsenal manager of all time. But the question is, at the moment, should he remain the Arsenal manager? That's what a lot of people are asking. There's been all this to-ing and fro-ing. We don't know whether he's going to sign a new deal or not. But what I want to stress in this video, I don't want to talk about whether he's in or out. I'm going to assume he stays, yeah? And he does sign a new contract. Now, for me, here's 5 things he has to do if he remains as manager. Number 5, he's going to have to spend big, and I mean big. I'm not on about little 10s and 15s here and there and this little up-and-coming man from there and that little up-and-coming. I mean marquee players. When we played Bayern Munich this year, on their bench, they had guys like Kingsley Coman, Joshua Kimmich, you know, on their bench, Muller. How were we expected to beat a team like that in the Champions League when you looked at our team in comparison to them? If we want to win the league, we need some world-class players in that team. We don't want to be getting rid of the ones that we've got. We've got to keep hold of them, but we need to add to that. And maybe it might even mean that Wenger needs to bring in a director of football that's going to take care of transfers, because in the past, we know all the stories, you know, I mean, he could have got Draxler, dithered about it, didn't get him, could have got Kante, didn't work hard enough. That has to stop. A director of football that comes in, buys the players, and we spend big money, 250 million in the summer, and bring in the right players. You know, too many years, year after year, the transfers, the whole transfer policy has been a mess. It's disillusioned and frustrated the fans. That has to stop if we're to get faith back in Arsene Wenger. Number 4, he's got to get ruthless. Ruthless with the players. He's not ruthless enough. We've seen players this season underperforming and they're still back in the team. Mesut Ozil was on a terrible run of form, he still played. Aaron Ramsey, not performing, he still played. He needs to get ruthless with these players. If you're not playing well, you ain't playing. If you're not playing well, you're getting taken off. If you start making up noises that you want to leave the club, then you leave and we replace you with somebody else. I want to see a more ruthless streak in him, like what I saw this season from certain managers around Europe, like Allegri, when Bonucci, who's like one of the top players at Juventus, started giving it that. He just left him out. He said, I don't care who you are, you're out. And then when Bonucci came round, then he was back in the team. Arsene Wenger's not ruthless enough. Too many times we see him covering up for players. He likes to keep it all in-house, which is great, but sometimes certain players need to be taken down a peg or two. Certain players need to be dropped. It's not because you dislike that player, it's because you want to get the best out of that player, and we're not getting the best out of the players at the moment. So I want to see a more ruthless streak in the manager. Number 3, bring in, this is if you can't do it yourself, bring in somebody who's going to organise the defence at the team. The defending at Arsenal Football Club is quite simply diabolical. How many games have we seen this season where we've had nearly all the possession, a team just wins it back, boom, 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 they score. We're so easy to play against. We have to work so hard to get our opening with all these teams, and then it's so easy for them to just counter-attack and score. And the reason that is because defensively we're set up wrong, defensively we're poor. There's certain games we play where we need a strong defensive shape. So if you go to play Manchester City or these teams, you can't just go toe-to-toe with them. You've got to, when you go away from home, be organised defensively. We never are. The other day at Crystal Palace, where was our organisation in defence? We had none. This is not how top teams play. That has to be sorted out. I'm fed up of going to games where our defence just gets smashed up. And we haven't got bad defences. We haven't got bad defenders. Hector Bellerin wanted by Barcelona, so he can't be rubbish. Mustafi's won the World Cup with Germany. Koscielny would walk into any other team in the Premier League. French international, got to the final of the Euros, played nearly every game. Monreal, Spanish international. Gibbs, on the fringes of being an England international. Why can't they defend? The reason being, unorganisation. Many a games you see Monreal, there's 2-3 players on him, nobody's got back to help him. The same with Bellerin, nobody's got back to help him. Midfielders go bombing forward, leaving big holes. Get the defensive side of Arsenal right. Take pride in not conceding any goals. Go to places and win 1-0 like we used to do. Grind it out sometimes. He has to do that. If he can't do it, we know his philosophy has always been attack and our passing game, but sometimes you have to be more pragmatic. If he can't do that, then he needs to bring in somebody alongside him who can. Get the defensive side sorted out, or we'll never win nothing. Number 2, Arsene Wenger needs to bring in some ex-players to help out. Why is Thierry Henry not involved with Arsenal Football Club? The man offered to work for nothing. He said, I'll do it. I've got my Sky commitments, but I'll do it for nothing. Arsene Wenger said no. Patrick Vieira is at Man City working. Why? And now he's at their feeder club, New York City. Why? This guy's a legend of Arsenal Football Club. He's a leader. Do not tell me if he was not in that dressing room, maybe there was a number 2, and he was talking to some of those players that wouldn't benefit them. Dennis Bergkamp, Tony Adams. Why are none of these guys involved? Martin Keown, Ian Wright. Just their voice, motivational round the place. Wouldn't that help? It can't be a one-man show, Arsene Wenger. You've got to involve some of these ex-pros. And one of the things that has been laid at his door is that he doesn't involve people and that he doesn't want anybody to question what he says. It all has to be what he says. No. Alex Ferguson, one of the reasons he was so successful is because he always brought in number 2s that refreshed him. So he brought in Carlos Queiroz, refreshed him. Mike Phelan, these guys refreshed him. They brought in new ideas. You know, Arsene, maybe someone might come in and say, Arsene, listen, we need to concentrate a bit more on the defence now. Why don't we play 3 at the back? I know you've always played it that way, but let's change. And that can come through having a good number 2 or involving some of the ex-players, the greats that we had at this club, involving them with this team. I know Steve Ball's been there, but it hasn't worked out. Bring in one of his ex-players or bring in a strong tactical number 2 that you're going to actually listen to. That's number 2. And number 1, finally, I just think for Arsene Wenger himself, you need to change your style, Arsene. It worked 10 years ago, closing ranks, you know, not letting people know this, not being acceptable to change, not listening to other people, being really self-driven. That worked once upon a time. It doesn't work anymore. We're in a new age now, the age of communication, an age of the internet where it's exploded in Twitter and YouTube and Snapchat. A change is needed. You need to reconnect yourself with the fans of the football club. We used to love you, but a lot of fans have fallen out of love with you, and it can be easily undone if you make those other changes. And I think change your attitude as regards to how you deal with, say, the fans. Be a bit more open with the fans. If it's all gone wrong, be open about it. Fans, it's gone wrong. At the end of the game, send all the players over to the fans to say thank you for them coming. And you come over as well. Don't just go straight down the tunnel. On the sidelines, you know, when it's going wrong, I know that your style has always been just to sit there and not really saying much and not really do much. But we want to see more now. We want to see you get off of that bench and show a bit more passion, you know. Football's changed, it's evolved. If you want to stay and you want to sign that new contract and you want the fans to be behind you again, and believe you me, if you sign that new contract, I want to be behind you. I don't want to be against you. I want to be behind you, and I'm sure most of the fans want to be behind you. But you have to change your style of management. Those are 5 things. What do you guys think? Give us your 5, leave it in the comments below. Let's see what happens.